Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to Beyond Hegemony, where we're talking about hegemony and what do we need to do socially, emotionally, and logistically to get beyond their hold on our soul. Today we have a special guest, Hannah Litt. She's a leader and speaker in equity, diversity, and inclusion. She's an anti-racism and liberation and social justice activist, and she works with Project Humanize. And we're so excited to have you here, Hannah.
I'm really happy to be here. It's been a while coming, right? So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us, our audience, just a little bit about you? I know I gave you a little introduction, but let's know.
Did we not cover it? No, that's right. I guess I've worked in people functions most of my career, but I think a big part of what I did was realizing that systems were not equitable and they were essentially needed to be broken and fixed. So I try and bring the social justice aspect of myself into the corporate world, because for everything it's about liberation, it's about trying to make systems equitable, and really just for people, making sure that people get what they need.
That's great. And when you hear the word hegemony or beyond hegemony, what comes to your mind?
It's where we are, right? And how again it comes back to how do we dismantle the systems, because that is just a big part of it, isn't it? It is how we dismantle systems and rebuild, but also changing our mindset, because we can't imagine a world, because I was talking about like the political system, for example, or policing, and it was like, well, who's going to keep you safe then? Because nobody can even imagine a world without it, because it's so what we're used to. So it's about really changing your mindset to really look at, just because it's always been here doesn't mean it should be here. There is different ways of doing things.
Boom.
Repeat that. Mic drop. Yes. It's like, I always say what a lot of people don't understand is that most hegemony creates problems to create false solutions, to create the cycle of profit so that they can create more problems. It's just cycles that way. We didn't always need police.
Yeah.
And I love that example, because I think that of course we had people not doing quote unquote the right thing, but we also didn't have people doing all bad things either.
Yeah. And I read something. It was really beautiful. I don't know. There is a tribe in the continent of Africa, and what they do is if somebody does something wrong, they put a circle around. And they tell them all the great things about that person. So it's like almost like, look, you've done something, but we know you can do better. We know that we see the good in you, because what does punishing somebody do, right? If you're going to grab and especially if they've not done anything, you're literally just treading on them, aren't you? But I thought that was really beautiful about actually how do you, I don't believe that anyone is born inherently bad. Everyone is kind of trying their best, but again, it's understanding their systems, but giving people grace when required, and sometimes reminding them what you see in them too, right? So I really like that. I really liked what they do there.
That's one of my favorite examples I actually give to my clients about when they're like working with parents trying to change, or trying to encourage more positive behavior. I say, sit them down and tell him or her what you love about them, rather than what's wrong with them all the time. And it's hard because, most people think correction is only one way, but correction also can be in, you know what? I know you are so capable. What happened this time?
Exactly.
What happened?
Yeah.
Get under the root. Oh, I am capable. Okay. And also recognizing everybody's humanity is not based in perfection.
Exactly. What's the word? Progress, not perfection. As long as you are working every day and trying to be a bit better, that's all anyone can ask of you, right? We're all a work in progress. We're all evolving.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things I really, first of all, I love your background. It's straight to the point. And I love that you also have other nations represented in that background? Because I know that Palestine right now is the focal point, but this is happening globally.
It
This
is.
is, yeah, and it's purposefully very chaotic and undirected, and you don't know which way to feel or to look, because it's just like this.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. Um, I know you work in London a lot with particular groups, and tell us a little bit about that.
Um, it's and the reason they're all there is because, yes, Palestine is the focal point, because it's almost that where's the epicenter? Because what we're seeing is, and it's almost like, you know, when we talk about and it's not to say anything's any worse, but that is where Zionism and Israel was, you know, founded, I guess. But it's almost like if you do the right thing for the most harmed right now, you're going to help everyone else, because it's all interconnected. So I think there is a bit of a narrative that nobody cares about anywhere else. But again, when you work in the fields that we work in, we know if you go to the people that are the most impacted and you make things better for them, automatically we'll start to see progress everywhere else, because this is all interconnected. When you start to really delve into it, you'll see who is where, and actually their places are not dissimilar.
Absolutely. And I will say that Izzy is at the root of a lot of plant problems everywhere.
Yeah.
It's very covert, and it's been covert for a very long time.
I think the boycott has shown us, because we're like, how many brands do we need to boycott? So just seeing who supports them, right? I was like, I'm just, you know, I've lost some weight. It's great. I can't have like chocolate. I can't eat that. So you very much around. Okay, I was like, I'm just living on oxygen up in here, like.
All
But
right.
really realise, right, how embedded it is and how much support they have, the lobbying and all of that, how it's huge. It's a huge, and I think people are just like, I mean, I've always known this. I haven't been to Starbucks for about 9 years, but a lot of people are starting to realise how big this is, and how much lack of, because I think there was a whole very much like, okay, that's happening to all these countries here. I'm okay here. And people in the West are realising that they're not heard either. So they've realised that actually they're not free, so to speak, either. Because historically, especially, you know, white folks, when they've said, I don't want this, it's kind of worked, right? It's worked up to a certain, now they're like, hold on, we really don't want this. And nobody's listening. So it's almost like, welcome to our world. And it's that whole, you know, I do have a moment of frustration where, like, how many times do we have to tell you, they will come for you too. They will come for you too. How many times have we said this as black and brown folks, that they will come to you as well. Don't think once they've done brutalizing our bodies that yours aren't next. So I think there's a real shift change. But I just need to shout out Gen Z, because you know what? Gen Z are the one. Like, they are not having any of it. And that is what we need to see. And a lot of people have called them entitled. They've said they're, you know, lazy. No, they just know what's right, and they will not, the things that we have settled for and gone, oh, well, it just is the way it is. This is just life. They're like, no, actually, it doesn't need to be that way, and I'm not doing it, and I love it.
Yep. Garry, you unmuted.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Hannah, your clarity. You've just literally unpicked hegemony in like less than 5 minutes, which is just quite amazing. But no, what I wanted to add to it as well is, it's so important, right? Because I'm working within the extractive industries, right? That's my day job. And I'm trying to do my work from the inside out of that, because there is, honestly, trying to even have the conversation, Hannah and Trina, within big industry. Like, it's literally, that's political. And I'm like, there's nothing more political than interconnected systems literally blowing people apart in another part of the world. And oh, by the way, some of the products we're selling almost definitely go into the paint that goes on the missile, almost definitely goes into the circuitry that goes into the bomb, almost definitely goes into the armory that people are wearing. And trying to get people to actually look at those interconnections, Hannah, particularly when you're massively privileged, like a lot of people that look and sound like me, it's really, really hard. And I'm curious, what are some of the sort of maybe tricks, tips, spaces that you have sort of held that invite people to go, look, actually, we are all at risk here. Like you just said beautifully, we are all at risk if we don't like bring hegemony down.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I have to put my hands up and say sometimes I haven't, I failed. Because I don't, it's really difficult to have that conversation. I mean, it'll be easier for you to have it, Garry, than it would for me. And that's when I kind of said, you know what? I am better outside of, you can't, what is it? You can't break the master's house with the master's tools. I very much was around, okay, this is causing me harm being in certain industries, certain organizations, because I was trying. And because when people have privilege, they don't need to listen if they don't want to. And there's also this power dynamic, which is, I'm the CEO, I'm a white man, and I'm a CEO, I'm straight, etc. Who are you to tell me? And there is a fear. What I found is there was a fear from people that would say, how can you know more than me? I've got, they really believe that they've got to where they are through their knowledge and their credibility. And I'm not saying they haven't. However, how could somebody that looks like you come and tell me, and I don't know, and I feel vulnerable because I don't know that, rather than be going, okay, teach me because I don't know. There is ego that has to be dropped there. And a lot of people are not ready to drop that ego. So for me, I had to think about and that's when I decided, I can sit here and work with these, and I can, and I do. But my main emphasis is empowering, because there was one of me. It's empowering my own Black and brown community to heal, to empower themselves. So we then become united. So I talk about anti-Blackness in the South Asian community. It's huge because it's really my biggest frustration. It's beautiful now because I'm seeing it, but people, we're really powerful if we come together. Black, brown, intersectionally, our allies, everything. We are more powerful than the systems. And I think it's a mindset change to realize that actually, if we wanted to, we could. And it's getting people there.
I'm going to pass back to you, Trina, but I just want to say, Hannah, you've literally given me a whole body reaction in the back of my neck, because the common theme for me in all of this, right, for me, is mindset. And when I look at organizational design, I look at leadership, like everything that's in the West points towards more of the same. Just move the dial a tiny bit. Maybe we'll do this. We'll buy a company, move the dial a tiny bit. None of it is about mindset. I've had conversations with people in like the leadership space and OD space. Nobody's talking about reimagining structures. Nobody's talking about doing the inner work around mindset. And you've got to say that's a hegemonic force, right? That's the point. Like you've got to start. You've got to start there. You've got to start.
And why would they if it serves them, right? Why would they? It's
right.
not. It serves them. It does what it needs to do. And in the West, we've got there's a whole heap of work that needs to be done. But again, it is because when you're doing this work, it's not like you're doing an IT course and you learn your course and you come home. This is fundamentally changing who you are as a person. So I think we maybe had this a little bit when like well-being came in, and everyone was like, why are we talking about well-being and mental health at work? We kind of got, because everyone could resonate. But again, we don't talk in the workplace about intergenerational trauma. We don't talk about intergenerational resilience. We talk about really surface level mental health. We don't talk about, well, why are you feeling that way today? Well, do you know what? I'm carrying intergenerational trauma. So I don't even know, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm healing. It's very surface, because that would require people to change their mindset and fundamentally change who they are as human beings, not just leaders or managers or colleagues. It really, people have to be ready, and you can't force someone to do that either.
Perfectly said. And I love how we just segued it into something that I think is fundamentally at the root of this. I'm just going to share my screen real quick, because I wrote this article last week, and it really, because I've been having this conversation with people for years now. I don't know if you can see this yet. You can see it. Could you see it? Can you see this? Yeah. European self-esteem. Oh, no. I hit share. Hold on. Oh, here it is. I got to still hit another button. Okay, there it is. Europeans' self-esteem crisis, imperialistic hangovers. And I tell you, right now, I've been living deeply in spirit lately, because, I work with mind, body, and spirit alignment. So I kind of sit and just wait for things to come. And, that's Monty Python. And I always found that show pretty ironic. because there's so much truth in it. But one of the things that I would like people to segue into, and you said it perfectly, was that this is generational trauma, not just for brown and black people and Asian people. This is generational trauma for white people too. Okay. And at the root of this problem is the fact that there was such a barbaric and such a horrid and painful history, perpetrated on white people by white people for so long. This warring nation, this warring, this depravity, this rule structure, this imperialism, this is what has been vomited. And I say that in an article, vomited over the entire world. And with that is the arrogance.
Yes.
So I invite everybody to go over there. I put the print in the chat because I'm trying to break this down to the root, because we're not with any problem in life, and you're not going to get a surface. You're not going to get a solution on the surface. You have to go underneath it. And I really, really have to get my pale scale clients to understand that. They love to avoid.
Yeah.
I know you're laughing because you love it when I say
I love it. Melanin deficient.
Yeah, because this is not just us. It's you as well.
And we're healing. So you can see there are so many people, but we only have to watch or look at the pictures that exist around, when they were lynching black folks, and people would take their children to go and see it. Right. And the children would be smiling, and that it's worse than animalistic. But what we don't look at. So it's very much like, okay, we've got intergenerational trauma, but don't forget the epigenetics that sit within white folks as well. How has that played out? It doesn't mean that, just because it's played out and we are in now what people like to think of democracy and an equal society, that it doesn't still play out. And those emotions, like you said, arrogance, entitlement, all of that kind of stuff, and manipulation, all of that, how does that then manifest? And how do we start to unpack it? Because we talk about, financial well-being, mental health, emotional. Do we ever talk about our spiritual well-being? So I've been on a healing journey for probably the last 6 months or so. And it's not been about looking at my mental health, or it's about looking at my spiritual health and understanding what my purpose is, why I'm here. When things occur, I feel something. Where does that stem from? So I've done like a lot of inner child healing. I carry generational trauma. I'm an empath. I know that I do. So it's really tapping into the spiritual healing side of yourself, because it has to all come together. Otherwise, we're just using Western therapy. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it might not. It hasn't worked.
There is.
Because I used to go to therapy and I'd be like, okay, I've told you now what? Now what? There is, and talking help, but I have great friends to do that with. So looking at my spiritual healing has been a real journey for me.
I'll be honest, because I studied it and I continue to study, and I tried to understand why there was a perpetuation of constantly blaming the client for obvious oppressive structures. And I came to the realization that most of the fields of sciences were just gatekeepers to imperialism and oppression. So once again, we got to get to the root on who created it. You know what I mean? So I've always had a hard time trusting that structure with my well-being. And that's why I practice the way I do. It's mind, body, and spirit. Spirit is very important. And you can call that religion, which I don't, but other people might. And if you don't temet noshe, know thyself, you can't know anything else. You have to know yourself. But we're constantly diverted, away from inner knowing, that inner standing of ourselves. And that's on purpose. Hegemony makes tons of money. Once again, a problem to profit off of. And I love celebrity block party.
Oh, right. So good.
It was hard because I didn't follow any of those people anyway. So I had to like actually search.
I'm going to follow you and then unfollow you just so I can. just so I can, right?
I didn't even follow him because I was laughing. I was like, okay, who's on blocking today? All right, no problem, Beyonce. And because it's more of it's an energetic connection with a very important part of why we all suffer. We're distracted by the lives of other people that don't give a crap about you.
Exactly that. Exactly. And the way that they can manipulate to make the divide and conquer strategy, to think, no, but they care about me more than they care about you. But they care about you the most, Garry, because you look like them. It's so wild that people can't see. Actually, they don't care about any of us. They don't care about any of us. But no. Because there's even I was talking to someone the other day, there's even a hierarchy in whiteness here in the UK, because you have, we do it on socioeconomic groups, we do it with disability. There is also a hierarchy.
Accent.
Like the traveller community, they are, but as soon as a black or brown person comes in, whiteness just unifies because they have another common enemy, right? But it's also understanding that actually, as somebody who is white, if you're not there at the top, and there's not many people that are up there, they don't care about you either.
If I may add, just so eloquent, the pair of you. The thing that really gets me is what you just described about the celebrity blockout. Is the same technology that is being used to, we all know what, all around the world, whether it's the Congo, Palestine, West Papua. The same technology is now being turned against the master, right? So the tool is actually being flipped. And it's the first time I think I've seen that in living memory since technology came along, where it's really starting to be ramped up and used. And we're seeing with Baisan, on Instagram. We're seeing it with Greg Stoker. I don't know if you follow Greg. He's an anti-racist over in the US, ex-military. There's these people that have a following that are genuinely using the platform to inform and challenge the disinformation and the oppression that's being pumped out by the governments. So I think we're at a really interesting intersection point of hegemony. We've seen it collapsing for a while now, but even when we started this show a year ago, Trina, like what have we all seen in the last 12 months? I don't think I've seen as much systemic toppling in my lifetime than I've seen in the last 12 months. I don't know. Feel free to add, build, or challenge on that. But I feel like something's really, really collapsing.
And what I've really baffles me, because I did a post on LinkedIn. I said, I want to know which organisations are actively recruiting Palestinian people. So when you look at how surveillance and technology and the racism that is embedded into that and how it's built, if an organisation wants to do it right, why are they not recruiting people from these countries here who have first-hand experience of how technology is used to cause harm and rebuild, upskill them in tech, because they lived it. Like, what more do you want? But literally there's no one that has actually thought, and that tells me that they don't want to change the systems. The organizations that will, and what it will be new organizations that come up that say we're going to challenge that system and we're going to recruit these people, because I don't know what it's like to live under occupation. I don't know how technology is used to enforce that at checkpoints at this, and knowing how it's used.
But is that true?
No, we do. I think because we are, the same technology is used here in the US to facial recognition, all of that kind of thing. It is used, but I think in such a blatant way because they've had it for so long. Yes. We need to come together and look at how actually, because technology is powerful. It's powerful. Yeah. How do we as a community start to rebuild that in a way that is, anti-oppression? It's going to liberate people because we have the capability. It's just coming together and believing that we can. Again, it's that mindset change, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely mindset change. And I think one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize is that technology that's being tested out on the Palestinians for the last 75 years has been slowly introduced into the US and the British countries. It's been very sly. It's been very insidious. It's been, look. this new shiny cell phone that can track wherever you go, whenever you go, and it has this particular algorithm. It went from putting a password in to putting a thumb to using your face.
Yeah.
That is the technology, whether we want to accept it or not. And now we got Elon Musty talking about, hey, let's put a chip in your brain. Let's make all life easy. So you can wave your hand over something. Are you out of your mind?
Right. But people will do it though. This is the thing, because what we've done is we've become a nation of, and it's all by design, of people that want things easier.
Exactly.
Do you remember when we used to have to order something and then wait like 2 weeks for it to arrive? And now we're like, hold on a minute, if it doesn't come same day, I'm not interested.
So true.
It's greed, isn't it? It's greed, it's impatience, all of that stuff, which is all, again, white supremacy culture that just, and so it's really interesting. And today it's Nakba Day. It's 76 years today since the last ethnic cleansing happened. And we're 76 years later. We're still talking about it. Nothing's changed. Now, if we know, COVID told me, and I had a real light bulb moment, especially when the murder of George Floyd happened, when I was like, COVID showed me that organizations and structures can change like this. It just depends who it impacts. So when you don't want to do this work, it's not because you can't, it's not because it's too hard, it's not because you don't have, but you just don't want to, because we saw organizations go from, being in stores or whatever to digital in 2 or 3 days. They can do it if they want to do it. They just don't want to.
And they've had that technology for so long before they even introduce it.
And they just around, don't they? From place to. So I was reading something today about what Netanyahu's plans are, and he wants to introduce re-education camps, which is what they're doing to the Uyghurs in China. So it's like, I'm going to take what you've got there, that technology and the behaviors, and I'm just going to put it here. So they just move it. And that's why I say everyone should care about all of this, because it impacts us, because eventually they just move it around. It's the same people. So it's not just about if you care about Palestine, but you don't care about Congo, or you don't care about Sudan, or you don't care about Lebanon, then you're part of the problem. You have to care about everything. And I understand it takes up a lot of time, but it's interconnected.
Yeah, the more you know, the more you grow. Garry, you were about to jump in there?
I just wanted to add, I just wanted to reinforce Hannah's point. Like, there's something I've been trying to talk about, which sounds so obvious, but the work behind it, the willingness, the intention is huge. And by the way, I love the word intention, because you've got to be in tension, right? And it's this thing around, actually, how do we get people? How do we show up fully? How do we actually commit to doing the inner decolonization work? And everyone uses that word. I've been on this journey now for the last 3.5 years, and it's continuous, right? It doesn't stop. And I think that's also the challenge here, is we've been conditioned to think there's a fix to this. There's a sticky patch we can put on and go, right, there we go. It's all been solved.
We're done now.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Data, we've increased representation. We're done now.
And I think this is the thing that I really want to put out as part of our conversation today to people, is just to say, look, please lean in. I'm continuing to make loads of mistakes. I know I am. I'm not showing up in ways that I like to in different areas. I continue to work on that. But let's just keep showing up, because the system does not love us. The system does not care about us. Like, think about when you leave, right? You leave your job. Like, I die tomorrow, right? I guarantee you, my employer fills my seat overnight. Like, I'll be gone. Like, so don't think for a second that the system loves us, not in the current state. And I just want to leave those few sort of reflections, like, because sometimes we can get wrapped up in the perceived security, the perceived comfort. And I'm just going to share again, Tema Okun's white supremacy culture patterns are well worth looking at, not from a performative way, but do the real deep work at looking at these 18 patterns of supremacy culture that intersect, because that's been some of my most transformative learning, is realizing, oh yeah, I don't feel fearful in this context. Oh, but hang on, I am staying comfortable. Oh shit, I've been caught out again by these damn patterns, because they surround us, right? And I just wanted to share those few points. It's just.
Well, you also, it's such a very manipulative, coercive thing that hegemony does anyway, because what they often do is co-opt movements and words. And, remember when woke was something that was Black people centered, and all of a sudden it's woke is this and that. They don't have an original thought in their brain. It's just like they colonize everything.
Everything.
Everything. It's
like,
kind of like
even the kafaya, they had like a blue one. They were like, no, we've always had this. Like, stop lying.
Yeah, it's
Music,
I see it in every aspect of my life. Even funny story. I am happily divorced, so my son's father had another kid. Once again, told my son not to tell me, which infuriates me because I'm his main caregiver and he needs to feel comfortable sharing with me whatever he's emotionally feeling. So he asked my son to choose a name. One of those names was a name that I originally wanted to name my son, but he vetoed it and poo-pooed it. And he named the new child this name, and therefore created himself an out by asking my son which name he
do
liked.
you choose?
Yeah, you choose. So my son choose Aiden, and I could see it. But this is also such a normal thing in colonialistic, narcissistic structures. Never being able to take accountability, never, and being strategic in a way. If anything, strategy is a strong point. You know, 100-year strategy is a strong point. That is what has been gained from all these wars over and over. But what's different now is that we've woken up.
Yeah, and I think previously, especially kind of in the workplace, for example, whatever you're doing, you know they're 5 steps ahead of you anyway.
Yes.
Or they've already kind of vetoed and poo-pooed your idea anyway. They're just letting you go through the motions. And
Right.
that's because see, like they've already planned that this is not going to happen. They're always, because again, that's how it works. It's capitalism, it's white supremacy culture, all of hegemony, it's all of that. So, but I think what has changed now is that they don't know what to do with this because they don't know where we're coming from. They don't know. We're coming from the left, the right, the back. They don't know. Responding, so now they don't know because it's a loss of control, right? When essentially a narcissist loses control, because they have to be psychopaths, because to be able to do this stuff, you've got to be and really believe that you're doing the right thing. So now if I have someone come and challenge me and be like, does Israel have the right to? I'm just like, get well soon. Because if you I hope you hear when I hope you get well soon, because for me I can't talk to you, because the minute you are seeing this and you still think it's okay after everything you've seen, I hope you hear, I hope you get well soon. That's all I have to say.
No, it's like you can't argue. What's that saying? You can't argue with fools. It's like it's a waste of your energy. And the truth is that they know that it's wrong. They just don't care. They really do know. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, there would be a whole discussion, beyond discussion about it. And they've been very strategic in creating a shield with an ethnic group that they're actually honestly not a part of, but converted to. And I'm talking about Zionism in particular. And then they try to say, well, when you say Zionist, you mean Jew. I said, no, I don't, because Zionism, there are more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. So it's not about that. It's not even about religion. It's a political ideology and movement they've even tried to use that tactic. They're very good at what's that when you fall over and play dead?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Sorry, continue.
It's just a way to try to divert attention from what they're doing and play the victim. I always hated that expression, but in this situation, it's perfectly illustrated what it actually means. Playing the victim means using manipulation, using fake tears, using things that show you as a victim, but you're really not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what they've done is they're trying you to, because victim is the thing that they're now, but it's this whole and so grateful to the Jewish community for just even their own. There has been healing going on for seeing them, because they were like, actually all of this fear has been embedded, and that must be heavy to carry, like walking around, because Zionism has said you're not safe anywhere. They're going to do it to you. Imagine walking around feeling that kind of, like, genuinely from such. If anybody hasn't seen Israelism, please watch it. It's a really good documentary. Yeah, it's fantastic. I think
it's phenomenal.
It's really good. But you see how young it's embedded, and when you are we all know, if you have trauma, I have trauma that is embedded with fear. So fear, now I've been healing, I'm releasing the fear, and I just realized it because I was deathly afraid of dogs, but I'm okay with them now. So that fear just goes into every facet of your being. So seeing actually the Jewish community go, no, actually this is nonsense. Like, no, we're good. We're humans, and the elevation of them as well has just been really powerful for them to reject the idea that I'm going to be scared.
Yeah, I love it. It's been beautifully healing for me to watch how many Jewish communities have been coming together. Was it the Jewish Voices of Peace? It's so frustrating. I'm trying to find the right words. My son would be considered half Jewish too. And so when I started speaking about this as more vocally than before, man, people trying to say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. I'm like, you're not even Semitic. You're Polish.
Right. They're European. Like, how you...
Yeah.
The word.
You're Russian. You're Ukrainian. You're not even... You're Khazarian. Whatever that was, you're not Semitic. You're murdering right now, martyring the current Semitic people. Right. And using their ethnic background. It's ethnic cleansing. It's just the best expression of it. And it's controversial to talk about these things, but we must talk about these things or they continue to repeat.
Absolutely. And once you get your head around how it works, it makes it really easy to see why all of this happens. I think I posted a video yesterday, was like, like ISIS, being a Muslim, ISIS, terrorism, it's been a huge part of our, for us, it's guilt, because we've made it feel like we are one of these people. But the fact, like, ISIS they're not Muslim, because the most amount of people that they have harmed are Muslim people. And if they saw a genocide happening to their communities across all of a lot of these countries, do you think they're not step in if they were here for Muslims?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think this would be the time where it'd be like, okay, they cause more harm to us as a community than anyone else, and actually they're US backed. Like, we know what it is, and people are not silly anymore. I think this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's of our faces. People are not silly. People are questioning, and you've got platforms like TikTok and stuff. You can learn in a different way now. You don't just have to read, big books and stuff. You can get nuggets of information that pique your interest, and you start and go and look into it, which is great.
Anyways, you said you're afraid of dogs. How could you be afraid of this little?
I think it's fear that's been instilled through generational trauma and then it seeps out. And the minute I started to lift it, I was like, okay, I'm not. My friend's cat came and sat right next to me, and I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. But it was just fear that I was holding that had seeped out. And once I released it, and again, it's my inner child. So, like, what did my inner child need? They needed to not feel the fear and just be brave. And it's just happened naturally. It's because that again comes with learning and admitting that, I might have been wrong here. You need to start unpacking some stuff that is causing you to feel the way you feel.
Yeah. Belief systems are, why I have issue with religion as a whole is only because those rigid beliefs are usually the blockades to healing. That's what I've experienced. Once you have a deep belief system, and I tell people in my, as I practice, if you are very rigid about the spiritual aspect, I'm probably not going to be able to help you, because it's not that I'm trying to indoctrinate you into what I believe. I'm just trying to open you up to see there's much more than what you've been taught.
Yeah, absolutely. And question everything, right?
Question everything. And as a Buddhist for 27 years, that's one of the tenets. Question everything. And I'm very good at it, to annoyance for some people.
Sorry, my battery died.
Say, yay, I'm annoying.
So cute.
It should be. And, I think a lot of times, I know in my career, I've been punished for asking those questions. It's like, why are you asking? Just leave it. Just go with what you've been told. Don't question it. It is the way it is. And I'm like, but why? Why is it that way? Who's it benefiting? And a lot of people don't want to. Oh, I haven't got a dog.
Another doggy. Look at hi.
Even just yeah.
Please continue, Hannah.
You had to bring a dog. No one checked me for bringing a dog. So
we're encouraging you. We're encouraging you.
They're great. This is Winnie. This is Winnie the Pooh. Do you know what I'm saying? But links to what you've both shared for me, I think what's really intriguing. One thing is, as we're showing in this conversation today, the commonality of what needs to change isn't out there. What happens out there will change because of what we do in here, regardless of the color of our skin, regardless of where we come from. And I think that commonality, that humanity, back to your project Humanize, like that to me is what this is all about in the end, is the remembering. We've spoken about this, Trina. It's almost like a remembering journey as much as it is a learning journey. And I think...
Yeah, it's having faith that, so I think in October, I've always spoken about Palestine, but I had a moment with myself and I just said, Hannah, what are you willing to lose? What are you willing? And for me, it was everything. And, I'll be honest, I've lost a lot over the last 6 months, not just from a work, but personally, I've lost a lot. I've been through a lot of change. But when I did the right thing and I said, I will not be someone that doesn't stand on the right side of history. I won't be somebody that, ignores humanity. I've lost a lot, but do you know what? The amount of amazing people that have come into my life just when I've needed them to, that have come in and be like, what, you need this? Okay, here you go. It's been probably one of the most turbulent times of my life, but it's also, I've never felt so blessed.
Wow.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I can tell you, I feel exactly the same. It's almost I always tell people that when you're learning, cultivate a polymathic mind, the more you know, the more you literally grow. And that's why education has always had barriers. This is why imperialism took language away, took culture away, because they knew they had to control the inner experience that people had with each other and themselves first. This is the main goal. They know how powerful you are. So, Garry, like you said, it's the remembering that you are a powerful being. You are a powerful light. And how you use that light determines the world. And now if we collectively get together and say, we're going to use this light to lift people up, to educate people, to be one family, because we literally are. We're one consciousness. I feel it. I felt it when all of this started. Before then, and we wonder why am I so unhappy? Well, they're poisoning you daily, poisoning your spirit and your food, it is frightening if you let it be frightening, or it can be liberating.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. The fear tactic. Fear is a really powerful emotion. So if you let it scare you, it will. But, I have been like, I don't know where I'm going on my journey. No idea. In pretty much every facet of my life. But all I need to do is have faith. But what I do know is, I'm still on my healing journey, but I know who I am now, which means I can stand strong. If something doesn't feel right, I'll say it. And I listen to my body. I listen to what's coming up. But all I've had to do is just put one step in front of the other. And it will come to me. What's next will come to me. Because when you start to do the work and you start to remove that fear, remove that worry, know that actually, do you know what? I'll attract the abundance in. If I'm giving it out, I'll attract it in. You just have to take one step. And it's hella scary. It's really scary. But once you start doing it, you realize that we are one family, and that's what I've realised over the last 6 months. The amount of people that have come into have the biggest family ever, and I got to choose them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you've got to choose yourself. One of my favorite, I have a mantra. Does anybody else have a mantra they'd like to share? Because I have a mantra when shit starts hitting the fan. And my mantra is the universe always aligns in my favor. Doesn't matter what's happening. Shit just hit the fan.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's happening because it's going to align me in the direction I need to go.
It's redirection. Yeah, I think for me, it's always it's either here to give me something or teach me something. So I'm very much around, okay, if something doesn't, what's the lesson? If something's not, what's the lesson I have to learn? Because if I don't learn that lesson and I don't work, it's just going to happen again. We've all been there where, you're like, why does this keep happening to me? And you're like,
because you're not learning the lesson.
Because you're not learning the lesson, right? So I'm so intentional about, people I meet, the things I do, the shit situations, because I'm like, clearly I haven't, if it's a repetition, I really need to dig a bit deeper, because it's always a lesson. There's always something to learn from it.
Yeah.
I love that. My very simple mantra. I'm sitting here going, I don't have a mantra. Yes, I do. I always keep reminding myself that change is an inside job. Like that's my mantra. I keep repeating continuously. Yeah, that's my one.
Yeah. And those words, the reason why I ask is words are powerful. I know for the longest time they want to make us think it's not all connected, but it is all connected. Every tiny of it, So.
So I watched something, and it was a TikTok video, and somebody was saying, so when you've been in a relationship with somebody, and it's all really nice, and you envision your life, you're like, this is going to be great, and then when it ends, because quite frankly they treated you like a piece of crap, basically. Yeah. You still go back to that bit, but that was really lovely. We were going to do this. We were going to do. And she was saying that that's how powerful our brains are, because they can't tell the difference. Because if we keep saying over and over again, I really like that person, they're really kind, they're really lovely, it makes that departure really difficult, when actually in realistic they're probably nice for a week, the rest of it was just pure shit. But she kind of said, well, why do we not do that for ourselves? Like, why do we not say, I am fantastic, I'm beautiful, I'm enough, I'm great, all of this stuff? Because our brains will believe it. It's been proved. So our brains are really powerful. So how about all that grace that you're giving to somebody else, you give to yourself, and believe it for yourself? Because if you keep saying, so I do affirmations every day. So just eventually it just becomes, and you believe it. So our brains are really powerful, but we can control our brains.
Absolutely. One of the things I always tell my clients is, usually love is the projection of a feeling that you should have to yourself, but you put it on somebody else and then make it their responsibility. And that's the problem. Everybody should be looking at relationships in such a different ways, but unfortunately, the ideals of relationships that we have are colonizing relationships. They're imperialistic, they're patriarchal. And so, and that's why they're extremely unbalanced and extremely unhealthy. So, when you bring that love that you project out to somebody else into yourself, they're just a bonus,
Meant you, right? They could be, you
don't. They're there to actually remind you that you're worthy of love, not the other way around. And if they're reminding you that every time that, why can't you be what I want you to be? Well, then I'm not the person for you.
Go find less. That's my other mantra. If I'm not enough, go find less. if you think I'm too much,
go find less. Because
I love that.
Because I am, and I'm not going to change, because I know I'm a good person, because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have the people around me that I do have. I wouldn't be attracting such amazingness in the humans I have around me. So I know that I'm obviously there's work to do, but I'm working on it, and I'm attracting fantastic people, and I wouldn't do that if I wasn't a good person fundamentally.
That's right. All right, getting close to the top of the hour here. Any final thoughts? Gary, I know you got some. Tell me.
can tell by your face.
All
Yeah.
I've got is this huge gratitude to both of you and to anyone that's watched us. And I really mean, Hannah, I just want to, if I may, if I have your permission, I just want to honour the version of Hannah I met a year ago in London at that event for the first time versus the Hannah who I'm with today. When I met you and your wonderful husband, like, you're 50x. You were gorgeous and amazing and committed a year ago. You are 50x who you were a year ago, in my opinion. and I met you for the first time, and it's just that clarity, that and I find that's one key reflection. The other one I want to offer is what I really appreciate about this conversation today is there's a lot of really good work being done in spiritual spaces, in, you know, remembering we are all one, we are all love. However, and there's a system that needs to be collapsing and is collapsing and needs to be moved beyond. It's very easy to be sort of Pollyanna, sitting on the thing, you know, kumbaya, bypassing all of the realities of the world. My invitation to you is not from a place of judgment, but if you are someone that is in that space and is ignoring what's happening in the real world, this is my invitation to you to say you are loved, you are held. Don't be afraid. Come and join us. Thanks. I'll hand over to Hannah.
Yeah. How do you follow that? That was quite good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, for me, it's pretty much the same thing as, like, you know, looking at you and into, but it starts from self, because if you are not doing the work in whatever way, you're going to cause harm intentionally and unintentionally. So it's about really reflecting on, we all have power, and it doesn't mean like I'm just, you know, while I'm healing, I'm not going to do anything else. Absolutely not. But understanding who you are and how powerful your voice is, how powerful your actions are, and being okay with that, and knowing that sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Because like you said, there's so many people here to catch you now.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, you guys. I don't know if I can follow that up with anything, but I would just say that I have a profound gratitude for having met both of you, maybe not in physical, but in spiritual and digitally, because, you know, even though I do the work that I do, and I'm very much grounded and grateful for it, there are times where I need a reminder that I'm not the only person processing this in this way. And for so many years, I felt like I'm the only person that just, why don't people think the way I do? It's so simple. Like, it's be kind, be respectful, you know, don't judge people about their gender, the way that they look. Don't lie to people about your true intentions. You know, these are very basic things in life, but because we live in such a toxic society, they're often co-opted and twisted in such a way that you don't see the manipulation. And so I'm just grateful for the pure grand awakening that we all are having. And I appreciate you for being on this journey with me as well. So,
and I just want to honor today is 76 years today, and our, you know, our Palestinian siblings, but also everyone here, that, you know, we see you and we hear you and we know, and we will continue, you know, for as long as I've got breath. My mouth won't be shut now, and as we go, the more it just becomes more powerful. But, you know, we have awoken, but we need to speed it up a little bit, because they've been waiting for 76 years, if not longer.
yes.
We need to honor the privilege that we also have. So when people say this is too much for me, I'm gonna look away, or I'm not gonna. It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
That's right. That's right. Can't look away. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Beyond Hegemony. And you guys have a blessed day.
Bye, everyone. Cheers, Hannah.
Bye.
Cheers, Trina.
Thank you.